So, when I first met my dearest and oldest friend, who was Jake Murphy, it was the first day of 7th grade in Miss Crocker's math class. I remember it was first period, first day, and we were both fairly new to the area. I had been there for about a year. He had been there for a year as well, having just moved from California. And both of us were pretty quiet in that class. But before I even knew his name, I remember thinking, like, this is, he's a quiet guy, but every time he spoke, he just always was confident. It didn't really matter that he was, the most popular guy. He was just a chill, just confident guy. Another thing that stood out about him was, and this is kind of one thing that Jordan was talking about Kim, he was raised to be cool as ice. He always had, band shirts before, now it's like a trend, whatever, everyone's wearing Motley Crue. But he always had, everyone remembers his Sublime shirt, the Metallica, Nirvana. And that was at a time where I started getting into music. I remember thinking, man, this guy seems like a cool motherfucker. I gotta be his friend somehow. And then we get on to second period, and that was gym class. I'm like, oh, okay, so he's got another class. Then we move on to third period, which was fourth band. For those of you who don't know, fourth band is the last band. Not the best. We had some familiar faces in there. Garrett Maloney was in there on trumpet. Give it up for Garrett. The man really knew how to blow a horn.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Austin Hubbard was in there. A lot of really old dear friends were in that room. And I remember seeing, there's that guy again with the cool shirts. And even though it was fourth band, and Garrett and everyone can attest to this, Jake was always first chair. He was never not first chair. As Garrett said, the man knew how to blow a horn. So yeah, I just remember thinking, well, he's tremendously talented, like he very well could have been in, second band or something. So the day goes on, we get to 7th period, and that was an advanced class. It was advanced English, Miss Palmer. And there was that guy with the band shirts, man, he was there. And I remember thinking, like, he seems kind of like out of place in here, what is this guy doing? But ultimately it makes so much sense because he really was just a naturally smart person. My parents kind of brought me up in a way that was very academic. That I don't think it was the case with Jake. He was just naturally just extremely intelligent. So that's how we started to become friends. Ultimately bonded by a love of music, but also of skateboarding as well. When y'all think of me and Jake back in the day, man, it's hard to think of us without thinking of a skateboard. I was more of, the short board doing kick flips, and he had the cruiser, just going around everywhere in Encino Park, Redland. Y'all know all the OG spots. And our skating styles were different, man. I remember we always appreciated the other one's kind of style. Although, I do remember we would get into debates. What was more of a workout? Was it skateboarding, doing kick flips? Or was it, hauling ass on a longboard? My contention was, going downstairs, doing hard flips, that's a workout. But he said, nah, man, no, dude, you're just pushing all the time. And I didn't really think of it till recently, man. But if y'all remember how Jake would longboard, he was always front of the pack. He was always in the front, man, just hauling ass. The way that he would longboard, man, that was, more of a workout than anything anyone else was doing. So yeah, and I'm sure a lot of y'all remember Little Llama Productions and Jakey Fresh, Zebra Yogurt Band, Garrett was in some, not to be gangsta, let's not talk about that. But I said this in the live stream, all the videos that Jake was in were the most special. And even before any of this happened, it's like when we think of the classics on those videos, man, it was always the ones with Jake. I was like behind the scenes editing, trying to like write out a script. Jake was just like, just coming up with just amazing improvisational lines. I remember when we'd filmed those videos, it was so difficult for me because he just kept on making me fucking laugh, and we could not get through the shot. And that was when I feel like it first became apparent to me that, you know, this guy is just truly a talented, creative gem, really. You know, we think about his sense of humor, just all the kind of random Jakeisms that he would come up with. That really, I feel like, speaks to his creativity. So yeah, we all remember the videos, middle school, getting to high school. We still were close as ever. Really, Garrett Maloney was a big part of that. Really, all of each other's childhoods. I don't think there went 2 weekends without either me or Jake staying at each other's house, man. And as I've said, we did sleep in the same bed. That was kind of a funny story. I remember this one night, like we were just like laying in bed, you know, playing Rock Band or whatever, and I'm just like laying in bed. I'm like, all right, bro, you wanna like, you know, go on the floor? Like everyone did. He's like, nah, man, this is comfortable. And you know, and even when other friends were over, man, Garrett would be over. It's like, okay, like go to the guest room, me and Jake on the bed. And he really was just extremely comfortable and at ease, you know, especially around a time where, I don't know, people are worried about being perceived as homosexual or something. Jake didn't care, man. Jake was gonna be comfortable, do what Jake did. We all remember, you know, the tank tops and the basketball shorts, the uniform of Jake. You know, and even if we weren't doing something, you know, incredibly epic, going skating, we always just had such a bond and just little things. You know, the video games that we would play, Rock Band, EA Skate, Lord of the Rings, Holes. We loved the movie Holes. And then that brings me to the first job that both of us ever had, working at Papa John's Pizza. And yeah, that was both of our very first jobs. And around that time is when it became incredibly apparent to me just the work ethic that he had. And we all saw Jake have many different jobs throughout his life, but always just busting his ass, working, you know, whether changing tires or making a pizza. So we still were close friends even after high school. Still making many memories. I remember, you know, going out skateboarding, going to New Braunfels once a week. And then after a few years, you know, as it happens with, you know, it's happened to a lot of us here, we drifted apart a little bit, but it was always like whenever I talked to him, we could always pick up exactly where we left off. You know, it wasn't like, oh man, I haven't seen you in like a year. It was like, oh dude, I saw you yesterday. We always knew what was going on in each other's lives. Anytime any of us got a new job or did anything, we always kept in touch. And one thing I admire about him is how good he was at checking in on his friends. I mean, all of us know, he would always talk to all of us, be like, hey man, like wanna chill, like how are you doing? He was an amazing friend. The last time that I hung out with him was about 4 or 5 months ago. And he was very down at the time, but he was clean. And we just went to the park similar to this one, and we were just skateboarding the whole time, just talking, catching up each other on our lives and whatnot, having an amazing time while still talking about like some real deep shit. One thing that I remember is what he told me about his sisters. He told me, even though he hadn't lived there in a while, with Summer, he said, Summer, you are just the most chill, at ease person. Like he was astonished that you were 14 or 15 and already have the maturity that you do. It just didn't seem fazed by anything. And Sissy, I didn't know your real name for a while. I thought it was Sissy. Turns out it's Sierra. He was flabbergasted by the amount of charisma and the humor and the goofiness that you brought. And he said that he saw a lot of himself in both of you. You know, we know Jake had a very chill, easygoing approach, but he could also be an absolute spaz. And I know he loved both of you dearly. And I love him too. He was someone that you knew not to mess with. And even if you didn't know him, you're like, man, I probably shouldn't mess with that guy. The way that he carried himself, but for the people that really knew him, you knew that he just had the most, just a heart of gold, would do anything for his friends. And I miss him very much. Thank you. And Kim had asked me to read this book. Actually, Jake had written this in 4th grade. And yeah, here, you can come on up here to hold it.